Hey, Cascade Hoops Talk, this is Billy D. Welcome to experimental video here. I've never tried this. I got two coaches here. I should have got a chaperone for both of them. Chris Wright, Langston University, Danny Neville, Rocky Mountain. Obviously, you guys have formed a real tight friendship last year when you were at Langston. You guys had a good year. That friendship, which observing you and your families and everything, you're really tight together. Just talk about. I'll go to you with that. Just talk about that friendship and how it developed.
Yes, it's really special. When we were here 5 years ago, my last year at Talladega, we played Jamestown in the Sweet 16. And really, I didn't know, Danny at all. And preparing for him, I was amazed at just, how well coached they were, how tough they were. I saw someone on the sideline that had more energy than I did.
Which is pretty tough to do.
Yeah, it is. I'm tame now, though, in my old age, Billy D. I'm tame.
Don't hold that so close. You're going to blast them out.
I don't believe that.
But no,
so that's where when you guys played in the Sweet 16, yeah.
And then we became friends, stayed in touch, and then we just over the years became friends, and we had our job open, and I was fortunate enough to hire this guy. So it was a really hard year in some ways. We were ranked number 1 in the country in the preseason, and handled a lot of adversity, and I don't know if I would have made it without this guy last year.
Yeah. So Danny, I want to ask you a little bit the same question, but more, you coached, you were really successful, you stepped back, and then you were with Coach Wright for a year. When you came back and coached, what were one or two things you said, I've got to do this better?
Yeah, I think coming into it, we got texts and stuff all the time, hey, how's this going to work? And, you guys are too similar.
Yep.
And we both, came to this, we both want to win. And so I'm not going to overstep him. I'm going to come in, do my role. I was more of the positive guy. And, I felt super connected with him because, I was a head coach before. So but I saw in a different light as an assistant. So I felt like I could, I could help him in some of those times where I so many times I'd be like, hey, I said the same thing, or hey, I was going through the same thing. So, I just really respected him, and, me bringing my family out there, I knew that he was successful. I knew he was a great coach, and I knew that he was going to win. So I was all on board, and, moving forward, I think just having, I would say I got better at patience, being an assistant, going back now, I don't get, too upset about certain things. I'll get upset about some things, but
you believe that?
Some things I'll just, let it go. But it was great to step back and work for an unbelievable coach who I respect, more than anybody. So
let me stick with you just for a minute. So you took the job at Rocky. I don't remember. You and I had this conversation. Your conference record, the Rockies conference record over the last 4 years was not good. I don't remember what you told me, but it doesn't matter. Not good. You went in there. A lot of people were probably hoping, man, I hope you can get us to 500, right? And here you are. You won the last 20 games. You've gotten through. You're at the Sweet 16. Just talk about that mentality you took in.
Yeah.
And when people thought we could be happy with 500, but you were going to have none of that.
No, yeah. And I learned a lot from him, on the defensive side, and just, just trusting in yourself, coaching. So I took a lot from him too. So I think, last year was a good year for me to develop on the defensive side. I always felt like I was good with toughness and offense. But then working for Coach Wright, I feel like I got a lot better defensively. So I feel like the year at Langston really rounded me out as a coach. So
yeah.
But I feel like there's a certain point, I think in the beginning, it's in the middle of the season where our coaches were talking about it just feels like we're gonna win every game, and I think we tricked all of our players to believe in that. We felt like we should win every game. And then those games where we didn't, it was just a huge blow for us. So these guys really want to win. And we've won a ton of close games, but I mean, you could say a lot, you know, that half court shot's luck, but like these guys really are poised in those times. And, you know, it really fits for this time of year too, to be poised at those times.
Yeah.
Bill, you can add something
Go
real
back.
quick?
Yeah, I want to go back to you.
So, you know, man, the thing I loved about this guy was for successful he had been, right? He had been to 4 straight Sweet 16s or better before he came and was, you know, worked on staff with us. But man, has no ego. And he's not a good basketball coach, right? Like he is he's an elite basketball coach. Like he's, you know, I would tell anybody this, not just with him sitting there. He's a way better basketball coach than I am. And so it's been really, I think, cool for me, you know, because, and he won't say this, but I will, you know, he was done really wrong at Jamestown. You know, the guy loves kids. He does things the right way. He wins at a high level. His guys graduate. They don't get into trouble. And so to see him have no ego and come into our program and do like whatever, right, it took to help us win was like really, really special. And then I knew he was going to be here 1 year. Like you know, him and I would always joke about it. But then he gets offered the Rocky Mountain job, and he's thinking about not taking it. And I said, dude, I said, you're an idiot. I said, if
Well, he is.
He's an idiot
That
that
didn't
wins.
prove it.
No,
We knew that before.
no, but I told him, I said, hey, dude, if you don't take that job, you don't have a job here anymore. So you better take it. And then, you know, he goes to Rocky Mountain, and they're picked 5th in the league in preseason. And him and I are very similar. I think like anytime someone says something bad about us or right, we're really going to use that to fuel our teams. And so I wanted to retweet that and just say, hey, I can, you know, bet my soul that he's not going to finish 5th place in the league. And he wouldn't let me do it.
He stopped you, didn't he?
He did. He wouldn't let me do it. So hey, you did make me look pretty smart. You're 30-3. I get no credit for that, but he's had a heck of a year. And man, there's no one in college basketball, honestly, that I've been around that deserves having a good job, because Jamestown wasn't a good job. Again, he won't say this. You know, their scholarships weren't great. Like he dealt with a lot of nonsense that I wouldn't have dealt with. And I mean, that program will never, ever, ever have the success that they had when he was there. And so to see him, I mean, in my mind, he is the national coach of the year this year with the turnaround they've had at Rocky Mountain. And so it's been
amazing.
It's been really cool to see. And I'm really happy for him and his family.
I want to step away from the relationship for a second. I'm going to stick with Chris for a second. You know, I told you I was talking to your guys upstairs, and when they all started milling around, the first thing I said is, I've seen you guys. You guys do rock fights. Your games are rock fights. And they got a kick out of that. They said, yeah, absolutely. Because I tease you every time, after every game, I said, well, you win another rock fight, right? Because you're completely known for defense, right? You're you are the top defensive team in the country if you just look at the numbers. But when I started pulling up all the stats for this, and I just told you, I didn't realize you got 3 guys, Orlando Thomas, Antonio Lewis, and Trey Clark. They hit 373s this year. They shoot 42% collectively. I didn't realize you could shoot the 3 that well. You know, just you get no credit for that offense, do you?
It's good recruiting right there. That's what it is. I shouldn't give any credit for that. No, hey, you know, but Billy, to be honest, like we're in the conference tournament, and you know, my old assistant coach Clint Gang comes up to me and said, "Man, did you know you guys are leading the conference in 3-point percentage shooting in sack play?" And I had no idea either, because it doesn't feel like that sometimes.
Right.
And so yeah, don't feel bad for not knowing that, because I didn't know that either.
Because you're like me. When you 3-point shoot, all you can remember are the clanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had quite a few of those.
Yeah, it's pretty Okay, so I want to stick with you just for a second. The Sooner Conference, boy, I couldn't get that out, was a real dogfight. You know, you and Nelson, I can't, I'm going to mess all the teams up. Texas Wesleyan, Texas Wesleyan was in your conference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a real dogfight. You got out of there. Nelson ended up winning the conference. They're a very, very good team. But somehow, regardless of this is what I wanted to get to, regardless of whatever speed bumps you go over, and you guys went through some last year, you always end up back in Kansas City. And you know, what's your secret sauce?
I can tell you it.
Okay.
I think everybody talks about like defense. I think everybody talks about like defense with them. I think it's toughness. I think this dude coaches those guys harder than any coach I've been around. So a lot of people talk about defense. Like, I think it's toughness. Toughness gets them down here. So.
Right. No, I agree.
I obviously we work really hard to recruit talented guys that are shouldn't be at the NAI level. So I think we have really good players, and I think our staff does a really good job. I have great assistant coaches. I think we do a good job of getting guys to buy into to being bigger than themselves,
and they have to accept a role when they play with you, right?
For sure. There's not a whole lot of choices with that, but and I believe this with all my heart, right? Like how you deal with adversity just in life, forget basketball, right? Just in life. That's really what defines you as a person. And so it was, it's been a very, very up and down year. We had a few guys, really good players that didn't make it, severely injured for 70% of the year. We had 2 devastating losses. We were 61-2 at home, had a chance to win the conference, and Nelson came in and punked us, they beat us there. And then 7 days later, we play Oklahoma City on their home court, which is a great job by Sam Conkey. Another really good coach, but we're up 11 with 5 minutes to go and don't close that game out. And so, things are looking pretty bleak, and we just really challenged our guys that, hey, what we do now it's really up to us, right? Like, hey, if we're going to feel sorry for ourselves, then hey, our season's going to be over soon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if we'll respond, look ourselves in the mirror, try to get better where we need to get better, like we'll have a chance to make a run at this thing. And I'm proud of our guys. They did that. And, I think we played our best game of the year, Saturday against Eastern Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah. You pounded Eastern Oregon. That's a good team.
Yeah. Coach Kemp's really good. They're really hard to guard. And I think the final score wasn't indicative of, it was a closer game than that. We kind of got away from them at the end, but I just thought that was our most complete game on both sides of the ball.
Danny, you were talking about toughness, and I'm not going to tell you who, but I've heard this a couple times in Kansas City. Oh, no excuses, Neville. And I knew exactly who they were talking about.
Yeah.
That is your trademark. I mean, from back in the Jamestown days. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at our travel too, like in league, there's just so many times where you could have an excuse like, oh, it's a long travel, or we had a delay in our flight, or whatever. The food wasn't like, and so we just have a no complaining rule. And, we have it this year too. And just our guys are just, I just think you become tough just because you don't have any of those like, oh, it was on the road, or, oh, like we're undefeated on the road. This whole year, we didn't lose a game on the road. And it's just like, you have those teams where it's like, oh, it's so hard to play there. I tell our guys why. It's 2 10-foot hoops. There's a crowd. There's 3 refs. Like, why is it hard to play at certain places? So, it's just like I could think of the last year we had Mason. Like, he was hurt, and we just didn't say anything because we didn't want to have it be an excuse. And you could tell, like, watching him in the Sweet 16 game, like he wasn't 100%, but we weren't going to use that. And so I just think it helps your team just, they just play tough. They don't have excuses. You think of our tough games, like come to huddles and timeouts, and nobody's like blaming anybody or pointing fingers. It's like, hey, we gotta pick this up. And so it's just, and again, it's gone through the whole team. It's not just the guys that play. It's not just the coach. It's our whole roster.
And you said something to me one time that really stuck is when you were talking about the travel and Lele, and you said everybody goes through it.
Yep.
Everybody's doing the same thing. So
for sure, it's like the teams that are like, oh yeah, we traveled all the way to Omaha, and it's like, well, we are too. We're from Montana as well, and we're traveling those trips, and so I don't know. It just becomes your team, and then you're just like for instance, coming here, we didn't get here till 3:30 a.m. We had delayed flights in Georgia, and guys were just laughing, having a good time. We weren't freaking out or waking up today and So it's been really good for our team.
So a little bit before, I don't remember how many days before you came out here, you guys got a hold of me and said, if we get to Kansas City, let's do this together. I thought it was a cool idea. But talk about why you wanted to do that. I thought I startled you there for a
No.
second.
No, I just think with it's a pretty cool story, right? Like, one, I think how we became friends. Two, right, just what coaches went through in his coaching journey, and it's, I know he's helped me, man, tremendously, right? Just as a friend, just as an assistant coach last year, and these types of relationships they're very, very rare. And so for both all year, we talked about this, like, man, it'd be great if we could both get back to Kansas City together. And I knew they were going to be there, once the season started. I was praying that we were.
Yeah. Typical Chris Wright. We won't make it. We won't win a game this year.
I don't ever feel like we're going to win. So, yeah, no. So I just thought, man, like, if we could do this, it's a really cool story.
Yeah.
Like, our families will be, not just us, right, but our families will be friends, for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for me too, like, this is a guy that gave me another chance to continue to coach. So, I owe him a lot. Like, I mean, we talk every single day, so it's not just a, one thing, and I used him to get a job. Like, we talk every day about basketball, about, we try and help each other out, because we know, there gets to that point of that season where you're just like, man. So it's nice to lean on other people, and not just people, successful people that have won at a high level. So this is one of my best friends right here. So
let's talk about, you both play Friday, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so you both play familiar foes. Yours is a bit more familiar. You've been dealing with Bellevue for many years, even when you were up at Jamestown. You played them twice this year. It's kind of unusual for a team to have to play somebody twice and then have to come to Kansas City and play them again. Just talk a little bit about your game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at both games. I mean, the first game we won on a last-second three, and the second game, it came down to the last minute. So, Coach does an awesome job. He really gets those guys to defend, and they play without their best player. I mean, I don't know if people know that they won 2 games without their leading scorer, Ahmad Bynum. So, he's back now. So, they'll be. Who knows if, they played so well. That's one of those things. They played so well without him, but he's such a good player that, he'll be back in the lineup, and, they defend, they can really get to the rim, and they pose some problems for us, but, we feel confident, and, it's going to be a big time battle for us.
I think Coach Gabriel's really made a commitment to bring Bellevue back. Bellevue used to be a powerhouse. And I think he's made a commitment to get him back there, and getting back here this year. That's a big step
for sure. Getting to this place, this is
tough to do.
You got to win 2 games, and they won it on the road.
Yeah,
at Huntington. So,
they beat Huntington at the Platte.
They're playing really well.
They are. And Coach, you're going to face Oklahoma Wesleyan, a team you played already once this year. Good team, little undersized. Kind of 2 different styles, but both focus on defense. And you know them better than I do. I'm sure you've been looking at a little bit of film. It's burning synergy up.
No doubt. It's crazy, right? Like, we're the 2 teams from Oklahoma still playing. Obviously, to play in the Sweet 16 is kind of unique. And we have a ton of respect for their program. Coach Bostwick and the staff, they play extremely hard.
Yeah.
They really bring the fight to you. You talk about toughness. It's a team that lives off toughness.
Mm-hmm.
They have a great culture. They pose a lot of problems. We played them each of the last 2 years, and we played them so early in the season. Like, I think both of our teams are completely different.
Yeah.
Right, they've gotten better and better and better as the years went on, and I would like to think that that we have as well. So, it will be an absolute war. Kind of crazy too, right? It's the last 2 years. National runner-up teams, right, playing in the Sweet 16. And so, and there's a lot at stake. And I know that, we'll have to play really, really, really well to have a chance to beat them.
Yep. Last question I want to ask you guys. All 3 of us are kind of NAI guys, right? I grew up with NAI basketball. You really kind of switched your career around to stay in NAI basketball. Coach, you've been tearing up NAI basketball. I don't know about, I think it's special. I do. I mean, sitting out there in that lobby here the last couple of days and all the guys that come up to you and talk to you and they want to know about you and you tell me about them and their families, their parents. You can't get that at any other level. You just can't. And what do you guys, what's you guys' opinion about the level we play at?
First, I think, and I'm probably being a little biased here, but I do believe it with all my heart. I think it's a really, really well-coached level.
I agree.
You look at, let's just take the 16 teams right here, all really, really good coaches that have great strengths, that build programs, right, like differently. But, a lot of the 16 guys here, they've been here a lot, right? I mean, they're elite basketball coaches that could have went to quote unquote higher levels and left jobs that they're at. And then what I really appreciate about the NAI is, man, like it's a true national tournament, right? Like I've been at the Division II level and you go to those regional sites and man, it doesn't feel like a national tournament in the way that getting to Kansas City does.
Yes, I agree.
Right. Like I think it's really, really special getting here. I love the days when there were 32 teams. I just think the student athlete experience for that is unbelievable.
It is, yeah.
And so, man, obviously we've been blessed and had plenty of chances to leave. Every year I've been at Langston, but I love the NAI. I believe in it. I think the way they select the national tournament, the way the system, right, with the RPI and analytics is improved. Now, still, there's
a lot.
And to be, honest, like I still think there's a lot of room for improvement. Like I'm, very fortunate. I mean, all 4 years I've been at Langston, we've got to host, but in my mind, I do wish that I don't feel like teams should have to go play true road games in the national tournament. I really don't. I don't think that's, I hope that's something that we can look at and figure out how to get national tournament games right, like back to a neutral site. But yeah, this is a special level.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
So you talk about the NAI. Yeah.
I think the big, one big thing for me is I think the Kansas City, the Sweet 16, you go back to when it was split divisions and you had, 2 separate tournaments. And then, now with the regional sites, you get 64, which is cool to make that. And then obviously the 32, which is cool to make that. But it's just that final 16 site that it just feels different. And, he hit on it a little bit, but we had a coaches meeting after our little event we had. And you look around the circle and it's like, man, I see these guys every single year. Like, it's not just like we were just talking about it. It's not, a lot of times it's not teams. A lot of times it's coaches. Like there's some really, really good coaches here. And, even the speaker, like Chris Corver, going against him. I can just remember when I was a young coach, going against him, and, a lot of those guys stay at one spot too. And they just develop this, ultra, unbelievable culture. And it just like, they just every year, like this guy, like just like every year they're really good and they're really well coached. And I just think this level is awesome. That's why I've always, wanted to stay here. And, I just love the NAI.
Yeah.
I just think I played in it. I coached in it. I've seen other levels. I just think this is an unbelievable level and unbelievable talent. Like, there'll be people in the crowd watching our guys.
Yeah.
So it's just,
I think it's cool.
It's crazy the times have changed like that, but that's how good of players are down here. Like there's Division I players down here.
Oh, definitely.
Or should I be saying that?
Well, I mean, I know 5 or 6 Division I guys that are going to be here, right, recruiting it this weekend. So yeah, and it's pretty cool too, right, to see. I mean, right, this guy, Coach Mason Walters, National Player of the Year, right, seeing what he did. But man, the college basketball is littered right now with guys that were really good NAI players that went to the Division I level and have absolutely
just tore it up.
Absolutely, and so. When you look at that, I really do. I think it speaks very well for just the level of play that we see night in and night out.
Absolutely.
Well, even just Aunt Roy, you see that Oklahoma State game and, they're talking about Coach Wright.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Well, I really appreciate you guys doing this. together, and they both behaved without a chaperone.
Just wait till the camera goes off.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Billy D.
Danny,
Appreciate it.
thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.